Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Nurse Patience, and today I'll be sharing with you in this video 13 reasons why your menstrual period or you'd experience your menstrual bleeding twice in a month. You would agree with me that the normal menstrual cycle ranges from 21 to 35 days. However, it's not uncommon for you to see a variation in your menstrual cycle or bleeding. Also, it is also possible for you to experience menstrual bleeding twice in a month. Here in this video, I'll be sharing with you 13 reasons why you would experience this bleeding twice in a month. One of it is discontinuing or missing a dosage of your birth control pills. These birth control pills, how they work is they tend to suppress your normal menstrual cycle, and they are fashioned in a way that these tablets are to go for 4 weeks. The first 3 weeks is the active hormonal week, in which they contain those hormones that tend to suppress your menstrual cycle, and in the 4th week it's called the placebo week. What happens is, after you take the pills for the first 3 weeks, on the 4th week, when you take that placebo, the placebo does not contain the hormone, and what it does is it tends to make your body react, or you tend to see a bleeding which tend to mimic your menstrual cycle. And the relationship with this now is, if you miss a dose of the birth control pills at the first 3 weeks, either at the 2nd or the 3rd week, you miss a pill or 2 of this, it is possible that your body would then react like it will react to the placebo week, and you tend to see bleeding at that particular week that you've missed. The next one is thyroid problem. By thyroid problem, the thyroid hormones tend to regulate the menstrual cycle, so an increase or a decrease in these hormones would have a telltale on the menstrual cycle and how frequent they would come. So for hypothyroidism, you tend to experience a more frequent menstrual cycle. By more frequent menstrual cycle, you can have your menstrual cycle twice or even more because of this disorder. Then the next, for the hyperthyroidism, in most cases, there's either an absence of period or you tend to miss your period. The next point here is infection. Vaginal or cervical infection would also tend to come with bleeding, and also sexually transmitted infection, trichomoniasis, bacterial vaginosis, PID would also bring about bleeding, and this would also look like you are seeing and they tend to hamper your normal menstrual cycle. Then the next point here is stress. By stress, an individual who have a very stressful lifestyle tend to experience their period irregularly, and it might even be more than the expected time it should come, and if an individual should bleed for a month. What stress does to the body is it stimulates the hypothalamus, and once the hypothalamus is stimulated, it then releases cortisol. With this cortisol now, it goes to act on those hormones, and when it acts on these hormones, it brings about irregularity in your menstrual cycle. Then extreme weight gain is the next point. By extreme weight gain, those individuals that are obese, that have a lot of fat and adipose tissue, these tend to have a negative effect on the menstrual cycle, and they tend to have heavy bleeding for most obese individuals. The next point is age. You would agree with me that when you first started menstruation, your period was irregular, but in your 20s to your 30s, your period tends to be a bit stable. Then in your 40s, it then go back to irregular because you're already approaching menopause. The next point here is pregnancy. During pregnancy, some individuals tend to complain of bleeding, and this bleeding can be as a result of implantation. there is what we call implantation bleeding. This happens some few days after fertilization have occurred, and so many people tend to experience this. But if you are pregnant and you're experiencing heavy vaginal bleeding more than normal, please, you need to go see your doctor so that he would check and know what the problem is. The next is cancer. Cancer of the reproductive organ of a woman can also bring about irregularities in the menstrual cycle. Vaginal and cervical cancer, even uterine cancer, would also make an individual to bleed more than the normal time they should bleed. Another point is the onset of menopause. For most individuals who are at the premenopausal stage, they tend to experience an irregularity in their menstrual bleeding. Because this period is about to come to an end, it might come twice in a month, and sometimes there might be absence of it, but this can last for maybe a period of 12 months before they finally get into menopause. So you watch out for these signs if you are at the verge of entering menopause. The next is miscarriage. Of course, miscarriage, we all know that is bleeding because of a pregnancy that did not get to the viability stage, and even to the stage at which the baby will be born. And this would also cause bleeding, cause the uterine tissues and even tissues from conception are being expelled through the vagina. Then the next point here is lifestyle changes. By lifestyle changes, excessive traveling, stressful lifestyle, lack of sleep, intensive exercise would make your body change and the physiology of your body to change. By this, stressful lifestyle, excessive traveling, lack of sleep, all these have an effect on your brain, and inside of your, and once it gets to the brain, there is a messenger that receives this message, and then it gives feedback, and this feedback tends to act on those hormones. And once they act on the hormones, it's either you see your period twice in a month, or your period tend to fluctuate. The last point I'll be sharing here is for individuals that have uterine prolapse or fibroid. As we all know, these conditions tend to come with its own negative disadvantage. By this, it tends to bring about an irregularity in normal menstrual cycle, and individuals tend to have or experience bleeding about 2 times in a month. The next and the last point here will be polycystic ovarian syndrome. For individuals that have polycystic ovarian syndrome, they tend to have an imbalance in their sex hormones. That's those androgens, the estrogen, progesterone, and what have you. They are not at an equilibrium. And once this happens, there is high possibility of such an individual experiencing menstrual bleeding twice a month, and even irregularities in your monthly menstrual period. Please, if you are new to this channel, like I said from the beginning, kindly hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and also do well to like this video. Thank you.